on and you're frozen.
Yeah, I think I'm frozen. Hang on one second. What the hell happened here?
I'll talk while you unfreeze. So
I'll try.
Welcome to Nerd Rage, the nerd thing. We're trying to figure out what we're going to call this place yet. But for now, I have Ani Manjinkin here and myself, me, Angela Chrysler. And you're back. You can move now. Oh. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the list of topics. While we are doing that, go ahead and introduce yourself, Ani. Explain what it is you've written, what it is you write, and how awesome you are.
Me? Awesome? I don't know. I am the author of Stars of Heroes, books 1 and 2. Working on 3 and 4, but I don't, book 1's called Spirit of the Lone Horse. Book 2 is called Do You Believe in Legend? And I'm also a web developer, web designer, who's helped Angela. And that's, you can find me at lonehorsespirit.com. You can find me at lonehorsen.com on Twitter, and Facebook / Stars of Heroes on Facebook.
Epic.
Huh?
I said epic. And I am Angela B. Chrysler. I have written books, Tales of the Drury series, and Zombies from Space, and Vampires, which is newly edited and just got released yesterday with the new edition, and Broken. That is what I've done. I am also founder of Brain to Books and the Nerd Rage. So tonight's topic, we have 24. All right, we're going to go ahead and generate a random number here for Iron Man. How about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either. So next topic, because we can't talk about it. So we're going to do it again here. Ready?
Ready.
5 villains. They're not just mustache-twirling cacklers. I'd love to talk about how to develop complex villains. Oh, just a moment here, because, all right, I got it here. Just give me a second, because I got to expand it so I can actually read it. I'm on Excel, so I ran out of room. Here we go. Villains. They're not just mustache-twirling cacklers. I'd love to talk about how to develop complex villains, unique types of villains to use forces of nature, inherently good people, systems, a la IRS, etc. So we are talking villains.
That's a good topic. That's a broad topic.
It is a broad topic, so we're probably going to revisit this one later for a part 2 series. But
with more people.
Yeah, with more people, but that's all right. We can do a lot with 2. So villains.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay.
I'm good. You take the floor now.
Well, usually with any kind of story, you have, either people versus people, you have people versus nature, or you have people versus themselves. So in a way, you can have a person who's an enemy of themselves, which really brings kind of a depth to the character. Not only that, but you're kind of here. Okay, so we have this person or this character. How's my sound?
Oh, your sound's fine. Yeah. I have no tech problems right now.
Okay. So you have this person or this character who's having their inner conflict with their villain while they're dealing with an external villain. Right. So, and then I love the thought of man versus nature. I have a horse that's a villain.
I don't know. I love villains. I found that I love villains that are good guys. I really do. Right. And it sounds weird saying it like that. I love villains who are bad. They're good people doing bad things. Those are the kind of villains I like. The kind where once you delve into the character, you realize that they actually have a credible cause. Right. Not like Voldemort, who's doing what he does because he is genuinely that much of a sicko. Right. Because there are people, there's the villain where they are legitimately doing something evil because they are evil. I'm doing something absolutely horrible because I just have hate issues. I like the villain where they really really believe in what they're doing. And they are really going out of their way to make a difference because they truly believe that what they are doing is legitimately a good thing. Their methods just might be wrong, or
Right.
there might be something askew in their approach. I love those kind of villains, especially
But
kind where you don't have the full picture, so you get
Right.
introduced to them and you think it's one thing and then it's not.
But when those villains with a cause, or when those villains with, you know, where you think they're heroic, but they're doing bad things, wouldn't those be more anti-heroes than villains?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And I really struggle with the anti-hero. There's like this massive movement right now among indie authors with the anti-hero. And the only one I can think of that really fits that description is Deadpool. Because he is a good person. I don't know. I really don't know Deadpool, but that's the example that keeps coming up. So I really can't. I don't know of any examples that I can actually pull and relate to where there's the anti-hero. I don't understand that at all. I'm trying to think here. See, to me, Tony Stark would be an anti-hero, but he's really not. Either you're the hero or you aren't. Or you aren't. What's that? Okay. It's like, what is that? Either you're the hero or you're not.
Right.
And I really struggle trying to figure out which side of things they're going to be on.
Right.
Hello, JB. How are you?
Good.
We are talking about villains. They're not just mustache twirling cacklers. I'd love to talk about how to develop complex villains, unique types of villains to use, forces of nature, inherently good people, systems a la IRS. And we were just talking about whether or not the anti-hero is a villain, whether or not it's actually considered part of the villain category, or whether or not the anti-hero doesn't actually exist at all.
Oh, wow. I actually like a good anti-hero. But I think the fact that you can root for him, for a baddie per se, like you wouldn't root for the Joker, of who he is, but you would root for someone like Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
If you looked at Jason's profession, he's technically a bad guy, but you root for him. So
I guess that brings us to, we're talking bad guys, heroes, antagonists, and then villains. Is there a difference between all of these words, all of these definitions?
I would say yeah. I mean, yeah. There are all kinds of bad guys. It just depends on how far they go with their badness, in my opinion. People.
Yeah.
Others don't kill as many, but they want a lot of power and money, so they rule over them.
Dr. Horrible. I believe Dr. Horrible would be your anti-hero. I don't know what that is. He's the bad guy, and you root for him, and you empathize, and you want him to win. And by winning, I mean you want him to kill people. That one's, yeah. And the villain in Dr. Horrible is the hero, Captain Hammer. And you loathe him and you want to see him lose.
I think what helps an anti-hero out is also after. I think that's what separates a hero from an actual villain.
Okay.
Because with an anti-hero, he's taking down the guys that you don't mind being taken down.
Yeah. Which brings me, you said taking down the bad guy that you want to see taken down, which brings me to an interesting thing that I just watched this weekend. I watched Broadchurch, which is a BBC whodunit mystery starring David Tennant. And I watched the first season, and there's only 8 episodes, 8 one-hour episodes, but every episode they focus in on a particular character, and you really don't know who murdered this 11-year-old boy. But there's mass hysteria in the town, and there's the press investigating and coming up with their own conclusions, and they're publishing their conclusions. And they settle on one person, and they open this case, and you find out their history. And suddenly you're right there going, oh, they definitely did it. They're the dirty murderer, and you want to see them brought down. And then after 2 episodes of this person being hunted, you find out their real story, and you feel like an ass. There's just no way around it. You, like the rest of the villagers, have attacked this perfectly innocent person who seemed like the bad guy. And then they do it again. They find the press releases something new about somebody else. Everyone's got dirty little secrets. And every person there's a big reveal over these dirty little secrets. And the writers use that for you to look at them going, oh, they're the bad guy. They did it. They're the bad guy. And then the reveal comes out, and you find out the real story behind it. And again, you feel like an asshole over again. So you can almost say with that, when I walked away from that, I went, wow, bad guy is really an opinion. It really is about perspective and whose side you relate to the most.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That sort of goes into that or there's a lot of truth in what he says, like and have said, but it's the manner in which they go about their business, really.
Yeah.
That what you were saying about Broadchurch, and that's how it is. That's just how it is nowadays. I mean, news cycle being so quick. You know, we'll put out a story about someone, and in like a half hour, knows they're guilty and knows they're an asshole, and then like a week later, we find out somebody else did it. But I think the only is that with Broadchurch, the viewer feels in real life. Most people don't feel like an ass. They just move on to the next person that they're judging.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. How do you go about choosing your villains and making them? When you have to create your next character for your next book, what do you put into it? How do you go about doing this?
For me, I liked to just really have someone who just loved to kill. There was really no backstory, but I've learned quite a bit through working and actually having like real feedback. Before I was just kind of winging it on my own. The way to grow as a writer, because you are your own, worst enemy as well as best friend. The thing I'm doing now, because I've learned to, is to give the bad guy a backstory. He wants my back relatable, just enough to care for her a little bit, to sympathize with her just a little bit, but also hate her. So I just want a bad guy that has a good backstory, and that's what I'm trying to go for. I lost my train of thought.
No, you're all right.
That's just what I want. Someone who's smart, capable, can trick the good guy, because always having the right moves at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what always annoyed me about James Bond. He always had the right gadget for the right moment.
I hate James Bond. I hate James Bond more than I hate
He-
Batman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we should do a
But yeah, I don't
Batman
know if
versus
that-
James Bond.
Yeah, that one would be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Ani, what do you do when you're ready to create a hero? What is your plan?
You mean villain or hero?
Villain. I said
Oh.
villain.
No, you said hero.
I meant villain. Yeah, villain.
Well, I already created all. Well, at least for partly, I created the villains for most of the series already. It's for me, it's situational. It's how, I mean, because you could have a villain that's a whole race, or you could have a villain that's one individual. And I mean, it depends on, I could have an outright person who's just going to be a gunman who's going to kill somebody, or I could have a friend who turns on another, who appears to be a friend and then turns on him. I mean, it really depends on the situation. It's like most of what I write, or what I try to write, is I live in the moment when I write.
Yeah.
I might develop a character as a bad guy, and then have to go back and go, oh yeah, so this is what happened. This is why they became a bad guy. Or I end up with a mystery on my hands. Deliberate mystery on my hands. Like, why did this happen? Why did this event trigger this multi-generational clan war, or this clan mistrust, or was something else? I really for the first part of my series, I really have already got all my villains. I've got all my villains planned out. I've got all my
Well, that's really different than my
Yeah.
experience. I mean, really different. I had my book written. It was
Yeah.
done. It was with my editor, and I contacted my graphic artist for a
Yeah.
book cover, and he threw a raven into the cover, and my brain exploded when I got the cover back, and I went, that's a character. I have an idea. And I had to go back and rewrite the entire book.
Oh, jeez.
And it was literally the book cover. To this day,
Yeah.
I learned from that. I do not finish a book until I have the book cover, because the artist might do something that inspires another idea. So
Right.
for me, the book cover actually lends inspiration to the story.
Mm.
And he did that with the Raven, and suddenly I had this massive idea with the Raven. I had to go back, I had to rewrite the story, put her all in, and completely rearrange it around this character. And that, it's literally a fly by the seat. There is no planning for me. Now, I think I have mentioned it in Nerd Rage before, but I'm going to say again, I'm going to reveal a spoiler here for Lemony Snicket, Series of Unfortunate Events. Beautiful villain writing. It
Right.
really breaks my heart when people say that they've read only the first 6 or the first few books and then it's all redundant. It is redundant, but after the 6th book, it actually completely changes, and it's amazing what he does. If you ever want to study villain writing, Lemony Snicket, it's astounding what he does. Count Olaf, and this is the spoiler, Count Olaf is absolutely a heinous villain, like Voldemort plus, through the whole first 6 books. And then you find out in the 6th, 7th book that he's working for somebody who's even bigger than him, kind of like the Sith Lord.
Wow.
And you find out that he's actually the Darth Vader through the whole thing, playing to somebody else. Somebody so huge that even Count Olaf is scared of.
Wow.
But it gets better. You get to the very end and you find out that Count Olaf was in love with Lemony Snicket's sister, Kit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both poisoned. He gives her the antidote. She dies in his arms moments before he dies. I sobbed. I
Aww.
bawled my itis out when the villain died.
Right.
It was really the most bizarre emotion I have ever had in my life, is the end of Lemony Snicket when Olaf dies and the kids are all burying his body and they're standing over his grave, and you know it's over and that's the end of it. And they're just, what do we do? Because this villain has been so much a part of their lives. It was really weird because I felt guilty for crying over the villain who was so horrible. It was just, imagine Voldemort dying and you actually feel bad for him. You're sad because Voldemort's dead.
Right.
Or Dolores Umbridge. It was really messed up. Very, very weird, but phenomenal villain writing. Just phenomenal. To me, I walked away with that, and I think that's why I prefer the no villain is actually a villain. There's antagonists, there's oppositions to your hero, but for me, there is no there are no villains anymore. They're all good guys. It just depends on which perspective you're standing on.
That's interesting. That's very interesting because when I was a kid, I wrote a report along the similar lines of I can't remember exactly what the title was, but the premise was, you know, what is a terrorist? Because to one person, a terrorist is a terrorist, and to another person, a terrorist. I mean, they're freedom fighters. They're the ones fighting for the ideals. So it's kind of a kind of similar, you know, thing. You know, is like what standard are we judging the people by? Yes, they're. That's why I think the anti-hero is so hard for you, because you're looking at it as we're all heroes, just bad people. And actually, getting back to the planning thing for a second, I'm only planning because the series I'm working on, I've been working on for 30 years.
Yeah.
Other series, other ideas, other things that I've been doing, other book ideas I have. I don't have the villains yet. I try not to plan, but I organize.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
Because I have to organize to keep myself, you know, from contradicting myself. But I don't like sitting there going A, then B, then C, then D, then E happens. I'm not. I'm a chunk writer. I'm a flow of conscious writer. So yeah. So anyway, but getting back to the whole hero villain thing. You're right. It is the perspective. It is. I mean, how our perspective, how our culture, how everything we've learned and experienced would make, you know, would makes us judge the characters in the book. I mean,
now
I guess
I do have to say this. I see villains. They're not just mustache twirling cacklers. All I could think of is Canadian Mountie. Yeah. The movie, the comic series, the 1950s cartoon. Dudley Do-Right.
Oh no, I was thinking
Dudley Do-Right with I cannot remember the villain's name. But he was that greasy, cackling, long mustache. And all I can remember right now is it's not fair. We've got they've got rocks, and all we've got are these machine guns. I love. There's something about that classic villain that I do love. I really do love the classic evil. You see him in the movie Ella Enchanted. Carrie Elwes, of all people, plays that snively, evil, greasy, and it's the greasy bad guy. There really is no. He's a greasy villain. Right. And I see the movie, and every time I see it, it cracks me up because the way the filming must have gone. Yeah. She knows that, spoiler on a 20-year-old movie, but she knows that Carrie Elwes, who is the uncle of the appointed king, is the villain. And she's like, "Oh, we can't leave him alone. Show me the uncle." And the mirror, the magic mirror in her hand, cuts to a video image of him walking over to the crown, literally crouched over, picks up the crown and does this. It's great. It's great. And I see that, and there is something about that greasy villain that's just delightful, innocently delightful. And I see that, and all I can think of is when they filmed this, there was no show me this person, there was no magic mirror. It was just Carrie Elwes in a room without any talking, without any script. Okay, this is the part where she's doing this and watching you be creepy and stealing that. Just do it. And that's what Carrie Elwes comes up with.
Right.
It cracks me up. I love the creepy, greasy villain. I love it. I don't know why.
Because it's simple. It's simple it's simple to understand. It's not you're not dealing with it. It's black and white. It's like, okay, we know this guy's the villain, we know this guy's the good guy. I mean that's the whole reason the first three episodes of Star Wars were so not so good.
We don't talk about those here.
Okay, well I have to a little bit. Can I just talk about it a little bit? Okay.
Fine.
Because you've got, you had the first part where you had the innocent Anakin. And then all of a sudden, in the last movie, it was like they had to rush things and show him just turn evil, like, in 2 seconds.
I disagree.
I
think the villain of those first 3 Star Wars movies were the writers.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. They did not they were the
writers were the bad guys.
Well, but you know what? The novel adaptation of it is actually better than the movie.
Of course.
Because you see where the transition happens.
There is something inherently wrong when Star Wars is better in book form than the movie form. If that's ever the case, you seriously did something wrong. I stand by what I said. The villains of Star Wars 1, 2, and 3 episodes were the bad guy. Were the writers. They are the bad guys. It wasn't
the writers per se. It was George Lucas.
Okay, he's the bad guy.
Lucas, and it was, one of the things I read was where Lucas was going through, had so much ultimate control of the thing, and he was the ultimate storyteller on it, that, there was a little bit of a,
George Lucas is the villain. Yeah. That's it. So
I'm already mad at him for this caption thing.
Yeah.
But that's a different story.
Tolkien. I can't talk villains and bad guys without bringing Tolkien into this.
Right.
Sauron and Saruman. Amazing villain. I love Saruman to pieces. Now, JB, you watched the Lord of the Rings.
I haven't read the book.
Have you watched the movies?
Yeah,
because the movies,
I've watched them all.
The movies are dead on. Don't watch the Hobbit's number. Yeah, the Hobbit first movie is dead on. Hobbit second movie, okay, they introduce parts that aren't in the book, but the Hobbit third movie is just not how it went down. But
I didn't watch Hobbit 2 and 3. I only watched 1.
Yeah, but the Lord of the Rings movies are dead on to the books.
Yeah, they are.
Saruman's character is amazing. I love him to pieces. There is a character who legitimately...
That's the one that has like the fire face or something like that?
No, that is Sauron. Saruman is the White Wizard who went up against Gandalf the Grey. That's Saruman. And this is background in the Silmarillion, which is coming out here soon. So this is privileged information for those who have read Silmarillion. There's a back history with Sauron.
I have that.
Oh yeah, Silmarillion is the best book. Like seriously, it blows Lord of the Rings out of the water. Silmarillion was phenomenal. If you can if you can understand the language, you literally have to learn a language to read it. Phenomenal book.
Wow.
Oh yeah, beautiful book. I read the first paragraph, stopped, wrote up a glossary, memorized the glossary, and then I read the book.
Oh, geez.
But boy, was it worth it. Beautiful book. So
now, is it a prequel or a sequel to?
It is the entire prequel to the whole world. It is like, this is the world you're getting into. Let me show you how it began. And it's literally, it reads like the Bible and King James version of Genesis. And yeah, I need to clarify, King James version of the Genesis. And it reads like Odyssey, like Homer's Odyssey, Iliad. Gorgeous read. So it gives you the background of where the gods came from, how they came into being. Reads like Greek mythology, how there was a great song that brought to life everything that was, and then the gods came in. There was a place for evil. There was a place for good. The bad Morgoth creates these evil beings. He creates the Nazgul. Not Nazgul. He creates the Balrog, that's the fire demon with the awesome whip. He creates the giant spiders. He is evil. One of his followers is Sauron. So you have these greater gods, the gods. You have the king of the gods, which is Iluvatar. His subjects, which are the greater gods. And then you have the lesser gods. Sauron is a lesser god. When the events of Silmarillion take place and Sauron is cast into oblivion, and the remains of his body basically hoard away in Mordor. When he comes back, Iluvatar, the king of the gods, suspects that it's not over yet. So he calls upon 4 lesser gods. He actually calls upon the greater gods and says, send me a representative. So all the 5 greater gods each select their champion, a lesser god, and they send them in. So it's Sauron versus the 5 wizards. Gandalf, Saruman, and Radagast are 3 of the 5. And they all, so it's basically these 6 lesser gods, this is why Gandalf dies and comes back, is because he's a god. He doesn't die. He went back to the greater gods. They said, no, you need to go back. So they send him back more powerful. So you have the 6 gods, and they're all having their battle. But Saruman goes there, hand selected by one of the greater gods. He is a good person. He gets there, and he legitimately wants to find out where Sauron is. He wants to bring him down. He has the exact same goals as Gandalf until he looks into the Palantir, and Sauron corrupts him. But he went from being this amazingly good, great. Imagine if Gandalf had been that. It literally is. You could almost say that Saruman and, sorry, Tolkien, I'm very sorry, sir. If Tolkien and Gandalf were in fact the same person, the other is just the other's potential path that they may have taken. And it's just astounding that when I found out in Silmarillion that Saruman was not a bad man, that he was very much a good person. Truly, he was the closest that anyone had ever gotten to finding Sauron. And he got too close and he couldn't come back. That is Saruman. That is just a phenomenal character. I love Saruman. Whereas Sauron is evil. Saruman is just, that is a case of just pure evil.
The
My
dark
speech
side,
is
then?
done. The dark side? The dark side. So here's my question. Yeah, I just had a speech. I need like a pulpit. That was my speech. Sorry. So my question is, I don't have one. I was going to say something and I can't remember. So I do want to ask a question, but Ani, I know you don't watch Doctor Who. JB, do you watch Doctor Who? I can't recall. I think you do, right? Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
The Master. I want to ask about the Master.
Go ahead. I don't have, I mean,
because that's a villain. That is a beautiful villain is the Master. I think.
I'm perfectly honest, and you're going to probably hate me for this, but I did not like the Tennant era Master. He was.
I didn't. No, I'm going to tell you right now. I agree with you.
It's wonderful.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
He was. It was just over the top and cartoonish. A scene where there's like a bunch of him. White House. You see him as the Prime Minister.
I hated the arc. I hated the arc.
I mean, yeah. The only thing I liked about it was that old guy was
Unit?
The funny one?
Rory.
Huh?
Rory? No, that's Tennant. The redhead.
He was the old Catherine Tate, I want to say is her name.
Oh yeah, Catherine with dad. Yeah.
He was her dad.
Okay. Yes.
His storyline. His storyline with the gun, and that was the only good part of the Master story, I thought.
I am.
But
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're all right. I am Classic Who with this. I don't know if you've seen the Master from Classic Who. Phenomenal. That's the Master.
I've loved them and pretty good. Although I'd say I like parts of Missy's arc, but kind of a miss.
Yeah, see, I struggled because I have known the Master since he went rogue, and the Council of Gallifrey called in the Doctor and said, we have a rogue villain. We need somebody as good as him to track him down, and you're it. We need somebody to think like a rogue. And I remember specifically the 5 Doctors. They brought in Doctors 2, 3, 4, not 4, 5, and 6 to track down the Master. That is how good the Master is. It took 5 of them.
Yeah.
And that is the Master that I know. Going back to John Pertwee, the Master is the one who killed the Doctor. He lost his 4th to 5th regeneration because the Master killed him. So, and he was your tall, dark, he had that goatee. Yeah, he had a goatee with, like, he almost looked like Doctor Strange. And he was definitely on par with Peter Capaldi. It was really almost an evil version of Peter Capaldi. So, and there was just so much. The drums and him going crazy, I hate it. That is not the Master. The Master was just that clever. And again, he believed in what he did. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't insane. He was just that clever. And I really hate the new twist that they put on the Master. That's not the Master.
For that, I can't remember his brought who back in, I think, 2005. That to me was the only mistake that series. Everything else he was pretty spot on with.
Mm-hmm.
But much as I dislike Missy, I liked what it led to with them literally killing each other.
I'm ignoring
So
the paradox. I'm ignoring the paradox. No, that one was.
Yeah, that's
yeah, I'm just like. Yeah.
Yeah. He's gone. He'll give you something great, and then he'll just down the toilet with something that just yanks you out of the moment. Like, with you see all of essentially saying thank or hello or something like that. It was that short little he was seeing each companion, and he completely ruins it by showing Clara. She doesn't exist technically anymore.
I have to go back and check. That's Tennant, right?
Her.
That's Tennant, right?
No, that's 12th Doctor. It's in this.
In the finale, I'm saying
last episode,
I'll have to go back and check.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't even realize that. An inconsistency, they betrayed the mythos. You're right, he's not supposed to remember Clara.
Huh. And I didn't even catch it at first, but I watched this YouTuber. I think the channel is Richard and Cervez, and she pointed it out.
I did not realize.
I was like, holy shit, yeah, totally right.
Huh.
Yeah, and as soon as he said that, I was like, it totally ruined that moment. That's why I'm so happy that, because he was the worst at that, and he can't write women to save his life. That annoyed me the most.
It's okay, we'll forgive you. He brought us Blink, so I'm just yeah. Sorry, he brought us Blink. I don't know. I'm like fascinated over Master Saruman, like really. And I think that's really it at the core. I want to care about the villains. I want to care about my bad guys. If I want, except Umbridge. Umbridge, we have to talk Umbridge. We have to talk Umbridge. She's a villain. I don't care which side she's on. Umbridge was a villain. Yeah.
I think what people hate about her the most is that for each and every person who reads that book, we all see someone in her that we can't stand.
Yes.
That's for me what it is.
She cut.
I read that character and it's like
It's when Harry has to write, I will not tell lies. And it's that first time, and he looks down at his hand, and there it is, carved into his hand, and he's writing in his own blood. And you're just like, you sick! Like, I want to write to Rowling and go, what were you, like, seriously, what drug were you on to think that crap up? Like, seriously, that is twisted.
Read her other pseudonyms detective novels.
I tried, couldn't. No.
Yeah, Cormoran Strike. Oh, they're so brilliant and so messed up.
See, now I have to read it. You just said the word "so messed up." I love it when they're messed up. No, I haven't read them yet.
They have it. They're each clever whodunits. Go for them. The second is a bit of a lull, but the first is amazing. And the second one, even though it's a lull, is damn good.
Speaking of whodunits, there's also the villain where you don't think they're a villain, you like them, and then you find out they are the villain. I don't like those kind of villains. I hate those kind of villains. It's like, I liked you, you betrayed me.
I kind of agree with you. I like those villains in a Sherlock Holmes story. I don't like them.
What did you say, Ani?
That's supposed to add more depth to it. I mean, really how I think, and I need your guys' opinion on this, I think how the villains are portrayed has changed over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it used to be very black and white. It used to be very, you knew who the bad guy was. You knew who the good, you knew who the good guy was. Now you've got these middlers, for lack of a better term.
I'm gonna say it again. We've mentioned it before, and it's worth mentioning. Is Shakespeare with John in Much Ado About Nothing? His massive speech over, I'm the bad guy. I must do something evil because I am evil. Great. I love it. I love it. That's right there with Weasley. No, not Weasley. What is his name? Dudley Do-Right. All right, I'm Googling this.
I was just going to do the same thing.
It's like, I'm Googling this. I can't take it anymore. Snidely! Snidely Whiplash! No, did that without Google. Yes, Snidely Whiplash. I love the name Snidely. It's great. So
that fits a bad guy name. Snidely.
It does. Snidely. Yeah. Now, I have a story because I love stories. I live in New York, and one of the top-rated campsites in New York, state parks, is Letchworth. I'm going to say it again, Letchworth. I am dying to create one of these greasy villains just so I can use the name Lester Letchworth. I have no story. I have nothing, but I got this villain in my head, Lester Letchworth. And
you need to write him down, let him come out.
I really.
Then you'll develop the story around him.
He will have a greasy mustache. And I just, Lester Letchworth. It's a great name. You're dying over there, JB. Letchworth. Yeah. I have a great story for Letchworth. I just went there.
Write it down.
No, I mean, I just went to Letchworth, and we were attacked by a raid of raccoons and skunks.
Oh, jeez.
I left at 2 a.m. I got in the car and drove home because we were being... Did you know that raccoons eat bacon?
Yeah.
Will, if given the opportunity, grab an entire grocery bag and run off with their hind legs. They eat marshmallows.
Mm-hmm.
They can open coolers. They can open locks. I learned
have seen
a
a
lot.
raccoon running away with a bag in its hand.
It looked over its shoulder
I
while holding
lived
the
in Watertown, New York.
I seriously, and it brought its buddies. It brought its buddies. We had over 20 raccoons and 8 skunks on our campsite.
Oh, geez.
And they eat hamburger rolls. I learned a lot about raccoons that weekend. Letchworth.
Well, maybe
Letchworth
less-
sent them after us.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why not make the raccoons and the skunks
There it
his
is.
minions?
There it is. I see it. He has a raid of raccoons and skunks. Letchworth. It's a great
Then
villain.
write it down.
I'm
Write
going
it
to write
down,
it down. But my problem is, what genre is this? Where should I put him? Is this a kid's book? I don't want it to be a kid's book. I want to be dirty with it.
Don't worry. Okay.
I
Don't
was
worry
saying
about
YA, but
JB, hang on.
You think-
Don't
you
worry
think
about the genre now. Just write the idea down before you forget it.
Oh, come on. He's a pedophile. He could be a
Yeah.
pedophile. Listen to the name, Lester Letchworth.
Then write the damn thing down, dude. You don't want to forget it. Write the damn thing down. You can always embellish later. You can always add the story later.
He's so greasy. Like, he's greasy. I see him having a problem with swearing, too, which just makes it even better. Because what villain doesn't swear? Speaking of which, let's talk Disney. So there is nothing I hate more than American cartoons and Disney, because when no villain should ever say, "Oh gosh darn Jolly G." What kind of a villain?
That comes from 30 years ago. That comes from, being the clean.
I want my villains to drop the F-bomb. I don't believe that any villain would not swear. I just, no.
No, you're right. But then you're looking at the audience. What are you trying? I mean, Disney's trying to cater to the kid audience. You're obviously not trying to cater to the kid audience.
I would not.
Would you want your kids to drop the F-bomb every 5 minutes?
No, and that right there is it. I would not be a mother to buy those videos. So
Right, exactly. So you're looking at the audience. You're looking at.
Here's the conclusion: children's stories should never have a villain. I'm sorry. If you look at Dora the Explorer, the villain is the fox. Is it the fox? It's a fox, right? And what's his name? Something no swiping. Swiper, no swiping. Gee. I mean, come on. That is not a villain. That is a nuisance.
Yeah, but it's a villain from the kid's perspective.
That is a nuisance.
Right. To us, it's a nuisance.
I
but again, you're looking at perspective and you're looking at audience.
Yeah, she's definitely right, because if you had just like shoot Dora.
I know, that's what I see. Fuck you, little bitch. That's a villain.
Yeah, right.
That's a bad guy.
Yeah.
That fox.
Yeah.
He is a.
You have Diego in the corner, like, did he just shoot Dora in the head? What's going on there? Yeah.
This is pent up, as you can see. I watched Dora with my kids. They're 14 now. So I was there when they're 2, and I'm going, really? 12 years this has been pent up. Really? That's the bad guy? Jeez. No. 12 years I've been wanting to say this. Thank you.
I wouldn't mind seeing SpongeBob get shot in the face.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
It's a nuisance.
My nieces and nephews come over. That used to be the thing that they would have to watch. And it got to a point where I was like, no more SpongeBob.
Yeah.
None. So I can't imagine having.
And I
kids
love
having
Dora.
to do that
I
all
love
day.
Dora. My biggest problem with Dora was actually there was some characters that were just rude. It was the episode with a sticky tape. And they have a friend who's in an air balloon, and the hot air balloon has a hole, so he needs sticky tape to patch it up. But he's so rude. Can you bring me some sticky tape? And I'm just like, no, you learn some manners, and I'll bring you some sticky tape. And that was
maybe you need to start a new series called Twisted Cartoons.
Yeah, really, Twisted Cartoons. Like, I had a really hard time with certain characters in Dora because they were just so, okay, no, I'm lying, and the shouting. I can't stand the whole louder. And I'm just like, no, not louder. Please, not louder. Oh, yes. I'm glad they're out of the teen years.
Ani just had a really good idea. You should totally do that. You should have, like, Diego be a crack dealer.
Like, seriously, I want to see, like, Scarface.
Like
yeah, I want to see Scarface as a villain.
Yeah.
That's a villain. I want my villains to resemble Michael from The Godfather. That's a villain.
See, yeah, you like the villains of 20, 30 years ago where you can identify them, where you know they are a villain.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I'm fine with Snidely Whiplash. I love it. His lawn. I love how they do that flashback in the beginning. And I'm not gonna lie. I watched Dudley Do Right for Snidely Whiplash. His not so secret hideout, and you've got like 50,000 cars around this little hut. And I got a lot of inspiration from Snidely Whiplash. I love him to pieces. Great character. Really great character. But they're little kids, and the narrator's like, you know, there were always something wrong with Snidely. And he walks over, grabs the ice cream from Dudley, smashes it into his hair, and then steals a kiss from the girl. It's just, and I think that's it. Is Snidely mocks the villain, like it really mocks it. And yeah, I love it. It's good stuff there. That is.
Yeah. Oh. Oh man.
This is the part where we're quiet and we reflect.
I'm just picturing Dora like wearing that Sly Fox around her shoulders.
That's awesome.
Goes flinging out.
Okay, all right. So speaking of which, I can't have Into the Woods. The movie's crap. You need to watch the play version. Into the Woods.
Is that Kevin Bacon?
No, I don't. No, this is a Broadway show written by Stephen Sondheim. Bernadette Peters. Gorgeous play. Don't watch the movie. The movie is crap.
The movie was that the one with Robert Redford?
I don't know. I do not. I watched it, and it's a comedy, and it's a philosophical play. They removed the philosophical part.
Right.
And they removed every single funny line. So it's just a miserably depressed film now. I think Johnny Depp is in it. I can't remember. I watched it. I ripped it apart in my on a post on my website for a review, and that was the end of it. I won't. Meryl Streep played it, and all respect to Meryl Streep, I'm going, that belongs to Bernadette Peters. So anyway, the villains, Little Red Riding Hood. They do take on the wolf.
Oh no, it wasn't the movie I was thinking of.
And
no,
in the second,
I was thinking of.
In the second act, she is wearing the wolf pelt for a shawl, which is like this continuation of Little Red Riding Hood. Is the huntsman or the hunter, who's a baker in Into the Woods, kills the wolf, and her granny turns it into a wolf pelt that she wears for the rest of it. It's great. She turns in the red cape for this pelt. It's just great. But yeah, that would be awesome, seeing Dora walk around wearing that fox pelt. Yeah. Little tail.
Oh, that's why.
Backpack.
That's why.
Pocket chain.
A Walk in the Woods is the movie I was thinking by Robert Redford.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I got the two. I got the two woods confused.
It's all right.
I got it confused, so a completely different one. So it's all good.
Yeah.
Lots of Woods movies. I don't know. Yeah.
I think. All right. I think we are all set. It is. We've reached our hour. JB, go ahead and talk to us about your books. Tell us where people can find you and what books you've read. Ignore my cat grooming herself in the back, please.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. except for that part.
On the town.
This is a good place to wash my junk.
Jeez. There's a minion there's one of your minions for Let's Field. You can have cats, And raccoons and skunks.
Raccoons and skunks, yeah.
Yeah. All right, sorry, JB.
Themselves. Oh, you're right. Yeah, my Discovery is out on Amazon. I think you can get it at Barnes and Noble and Kobo, and way to find me is Discovery, because if you Taylor, you'll find books about plastering, lesbianism. I mean, being North. And that's about it. I have a YouTube page, but yeah, you can find me. It's technically Taylor Made Author Interviews, but I'm working to get it changed. So I'm hoping to change it to Taylor Talks. But that's all for me.
All right. Thank you very much. And you can always submit a topic at one of the links below. You can also request to join or catch any news regarding Nerd Rage or the Nerd Thing. We're still figuring out the name. And all that information is at angelabchrysler.com/Nerd Rage. Thank you very much.